Students at participating Twin Cities high schools can get a summer's worth of rides on buses and light rail for just $30 with a summer student pass. From June 1st through September 5th, students can get unlimited rides on buses and trains up to a $3.25 fare. For a list of participating schools and to purchase a pass, visit metrotransit.org/summer-student-pass. Again, that's metrotransit.org/summer-student-pass. No one should have to choose between a paycheck and their health. Whether it's for a new baby, an unexpected illness, or an aging parent, Minnesotans deserve time to care for themselves and their families. That's why Minnesota Democrats are fighting for all working people to have paid family and medical leave. The time is now. Contact your legislator and tell them to pass paid family and medical leave for Minnesota. Learn more at paidleavemn.org. That's paidleavemn.org. Paid for by the Minnesota AFL-CIO.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support. Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl. Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 53, then sunshine Wednesday with a high of 78. Cafe Latte is unlike any restaurant you've ever experienced. Grab a tray and pick from their award-winning selections of soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. Cafe Latte, Victoria Street and Grand Avenue in St. Paul, or cafelatte.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit me cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. We discuss local and national Native news and events, and as you know, Haley, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
They are, Daga, and this portion of the show is supported by the Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Yes, they do. Hey, I am so, I don't know how many so's I can say, so happy to have Madonna Thunder Hawk on today's show. A warrior woman, a documentary with her in it just recent, the last few years. But I just can go on and on about Madonna. She's been an activist for many years. She was at Alcatraz. She's a part of the Red Power movement. On and on and on. You know, it's part of the American Indian movement. Was at Wounded Knee. Madonna, are you there? I just want to go on and on. Oh, she's not there. Oh. Okay, hold on a second, Madonna. I think I do not have you hooked up on my phone here. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Where is the settings on here? Bluetooth is on. Let's go to the Roadcaster. And are you there, Madonna?
Not picking up anything.
Okay. Oh, there you are. I can hear you. Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I can hear you guys talking.
Right on. Hey, I really, really appreciate you coming on, and it's a huge deal for me to have you here. You are a warrior woman. You're original OG, and it's just really exciting to have you on. Talk to our audience a little bit about where you are and who you are, just a little bit. And I know that's one of the things that's really hard for you because you are humble in what you've done. But every time I see you, I just smile because of the greatness and that you've been fighting for our people for a long time and still are. So I just want to welcome you and just think about that for a second.
Well, thank you. That's good to hear. Yeah, this is kind of exciting for me because it's good to, especially if you know your audience is native too, so that's always good.
Right on. So we can just have a conversation and talk like nobody else is listening. And last time I saw you was down at Wounded Knee, and the celebration of the occupation was 50 years, and it was pretty exciting because there was a lot of people that showed up that you hadn't seen in many years, and sometimes you didn't know they were in the camp with you at Wounded Knee. That kind of blew my mind.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of us, people coming and going, and it was a different mindset, different atmosphere at the time, and you didn't ask people their name unless they told you, You didn't get familiar with people because the powers that be, specifically the feds, came down hard on anybody back in those days, anybody that was doing anything. We watched it all happen to other populations, specifically the Black Panthers of the day, and also the anti-war movement. They were all real young people, mostly college students, and we watched it all happen to them,
Mm-hmm.
So we knew what we were in for.
Yeah.
So we had to be real careful, real careful about.
Yeah. And, you had an issue too, that you had to be a low profile at Wounded Knee too. You could not be seen because you weren't supposed to be there, correct?
Yeah. I wasn't supposed to be there. Yeah, I got arrested with some other women the first night. They were I don't know what they were. I don't know what they were called at the time, but they were blue jumpsuits, and there was some kind of federal I don't know.
Oh, maybe AFTA, Fire and Arms, or those people.
Tobacco,
Fire and Arms, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, and they were blocking all the roads in and out of Wounded Knee, and just so. Yeah, they stopped us and arrested. Not only us, some other cars. They were just stopping everybody and arresting everybody. So.
Wow. So
we were in Wounded Knee. Well, we were on our way, on one of the back roads because we were trying to help people leave that had that were following us and that were local and following us in a caravan. So when we realized we were under fire, we were trying to get them home. Saying go home. So they were asked us to check out that back road, and sure enough, there they were. So yeah, we went to jail the first night.
Well, that's crazy. And then also too, I found out during this weekend of celebrating Wounded Knee, the 50th anniversary, was that it wasn't really planned, or people didn't know that you were going to Wounded Knee. Like some have suggested, you guys were caravanning and protesting, and then all of a sudden, you ended up in Wounded Knee. Was that kind of accurate? What happened?
Yeah, actually, there was no protest. Okay, we were invited by several communities on the Pine Ridge Reservation to come, because we were located at the time in Rapid City, and there was a core group of American Indian movement of us that traveled around, because people were contacting us and from all over Indian country, all over the northwest, southwest, wherever, to come to their community so they could tell us what was going on, in their community and stuff. And yet, people that don't know, back in those days, there wasn't any organized, what am I trying to say? There wasn't any place to go if you had problems in your community. There was no voice. People didn't have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
There was no, in other words. So when things were, corruption and all that was happening, they just had no place to complain.
Right.
That was why the American Indian movement was so effective, because we would go to their community, and we'd listen, and we'd stay there and listen to everybody had a chance to tell their story, so, and that had happened before. So anyway, so we were on our way from one community to the next, and we just happened to be driving through Wounded Knee on our way to the next community of Porcupine,
mm-hmm.
who invited us for that evening. And we started pulling into Wounded Knee, and then we could hear gunfire.
Wow.
So we knew we were under,
under attack. That's just say it, right?
So the caravan was long, a lot of people, so what was happening up front, no cell phones or nothing in those days, just runners,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were like, I was in the middle of the caravan, so, we didn't know what was going on in front of us or behind us, so it was we just had to wait to hear from, the word of mouth, and they did have some runners that would come and let us know what was going on.
Well, cool. Hey, Madonna, we got to take a quick commercial break. Please stay with us, because I want to get deep into that, and I want to talk about what you've been doing. And I really, really appreciate you being on. And I want to take a quick commercial break here. And hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm here with the big OG, Madonna Thunder Hawk. I'm so happy to have her on here. Hey, we'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. Ho!
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
No one should have to choose between a paycheck and their health. Whether it's for a new baby, an unexpected illness, or an aging parent, Minnesotans deserve time to care for themselves and their families. That's why Minnesota Democrats are fighting for all working people to have paid family and medical leave. The time is now. Contact your legislator and tell them to pass paid family and medical leave for Minnesota. Learn more at paidleavemn.org. That's paidleavemn.org. Paid for by the Minnesota AFL-CIO. Students at participating Twin Cities high schools can get a summer's worth of rides on buses and light rail for just $30 with a summer student pass. From June 1st through September 5th, students can get unlimited rides on buses and trains up to a $3.25 fare. For a list of participating schools and to purchase a pass, visit metrotransit.org/summer-student-pass. Again, that's metrotransit.org/summer-student-pass.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Minnesota 350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
Yes, they are. And hey, we are here with Madonna Thunder Hawk, a warrior woman, veteran of Alcatraz, veteran of protests at Mount Rushmore, survival school starter, Wounded Knee. We can go on and on. Dakota Access Pipeline, Line 3. You are where the action is. Madonna Pinagigi, thank you so much for being on.
Well, thank you for having me.
Let's talk a little bit more about what we were talking about at the end there, and that was Wounded Knee. That you came to Wounded Knee. It wasn't a protest. You showed up, and then people started shooting at you, and you guys ended up occupying Wounded Knee because that area, the people there needed help and support from the American Indian movement, and you were riding with them back then.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just, on our way to the community of Parkside, and we were attacked as we were going through the village of Wounded Knee.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then you were there the whole 73 days?
Yeah, well, I got arrested the first night, so we were in jail a couple of nights, and then my parents came and bailed me out. And the judge said, now you take her home. Don't let her go back down there, talking like I was a kid, And so I was standing there smiling and shaking my head. So then bought a bunch of ammo and headed back down to Wounded Knee.
That's amazing. Do you feel like at that time and in thinking back that you were part of a big history that we still talk about and the Native community revere in 50 years? Did you think that was happening, or were you just doing what was in front of you, like you had prior actions?
Yeah, it's just things were just happening. Everything was spontaneous. It seemed, things just happened. We didn't plan. There was no time to plan. It's just that's just how things happened back then. Because we were community based. We were families basically. The American Indian movement was made up of families, and everybody had relatives everywhere, and so it was just kind of like a continuation of issues, that we knew that our parents and grandparents put up with, and so it wasn't anything new. It's just that we were young at the time, and it was our way of dealing with how, the circumstances and stuff. So I think that's the thing that's interesting to me today, and I'm still in it. Here I am in my 80s now, and I'm still, a part of it, because our situation as Native people, land-based people, we're very unique in all of this struggle, and it's not just demonstrations, and it's not just, one issue oriented where we do a few marches or demonstrations. It's actual nation-to-nation status with the United States government and American Indian policy through their various setup of government, the way that government runs. So our issues don't change. It's just the tactics and the responses that change with the generations,
Yeah. Well, again, it's just amazing to look back at that time and the things that you did and the nonchalantness that I feel that you are, the humility, because you guys were doing what was in front of you in a good way. And I mean, we look at it now, we're not where we want to be, but compared to 1968, 69 with Alcatraz, it's almost night and day with all the hard work that you and all the people that you were with and still with, that paved the way for us. Because I feel like, when I go to a protest, I put my AIM jacket on and people take notice because of the great work that you guys did back in the day, and the legacy and the good things that you guys did back in the day.
I know. Sometimes we look back on it, I think, wow, what? Ooh, we did that, I think, oh my gosh. Of course, we were young. When you're young, you're invincible. Just lead follower, get out of the way.
Yeah, that's a good one. Hey, just to back up a second in Alcatraz, so what was a young John Trudeau like back then? Did you have much interaction with him at Alcatraz?
Well, actually, he's the one that recruited me and a couple other people when he came. He was part of Alcatraz, and it had been going on for a year. And he came to the Black Hills. He came to Mount Rushmore when we were up occupying the faces. He showed up, So then we were talking with him, and we had been out in the Bay Area before, a couple of years before, so we were kind of familiar, about what was going on and everything. And then he asked us if we would be interested in coming and to help with reestablishing some kind of community out there,
Mm-hmm.
because the press and all the movie stars and celebrities, everybody had left,
Yeah.
So there was just this core group of people that were and most of them were real young, So he said, and at that time, I was 1970, I was 30 years old, I was one of the old guys. So, it was like, yeah, we'll go, and so we did. And it was awesome,
Yeah.
you know.
What a electric feeling of just doing that. Again, you were in Alcatraz and doing that where we were really, the Red Power movement, I believe was happening more than AIM. I think Red Power movement
Yeah.
was more prevalent, and you guys we're just doing it. It's crazy. Uh yeah, I'm in awe here to talk. Probably people can tell that I'm in awe and I'm just mumbling here, but I'm talking to history like yourself, and then you're so I don't. It's hard to believe that you're 80 something too, because I always kid you when I see you. I saw you a few years when I went out with Clyde Belcourt to one of the anniversaries of Alcatraz, and you were not that long ago. You were on a horse. So I was like, "What the heck?" I'm afraid of that horse, and we got this OG on this horse here. It was just amazing.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's that my family they ride, with the riders. And there's several other rides that happen at like the Bigfoot ride and different stuff. So they said, yeah, well, we got a couple extra here. So my friend and I, she was with me in Wounded Knee. She was Andrea Rabadou. She was one of the medics also, and she's a rider. Well, we grew up riding horse, in our day. So they said, yeah, there's a couple extra here. So we said, okay, good. So we hopped on.
That was awesome. It's just thinking about back to Wounded Knee and the people, the characters that you've met during the occupation and before and after. You I always say this because I'm a real big supporter of warrior women, and then you're in that documentary along with your daughter and a few other people, and it kind of focuses on your travel. So if anyone is out there, definitely go to warriorwomen.com and get your DVDs, because it's a compelling story. And what you were one of the first two to start a survival school, and I think that's just an amazing thing, because I know we've had the Red Schoolhouse here in the Twin Cities, and they tried that too up here, but you were in there doing it, and one of the leaders. And how did that come about? I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but let our audience out there know how that came about, this school for Native Americans.
Well, it started out not even, and we didn't even think about having a school or anything like that. But after Wounded Knee, the AIM, the local, group, anyway, they all decided, well, we need to ask, let's have Madonna. Let's ask Madonna if she'll be a liaison between the legal committee and the local defendants and the local Indian community in Rapid City. So I said, sure, because I was a defendant anyway. I was one of the first ones to go on trial, So I said, sure, I will. So I had my children with me. And my son, he was 10 years old, who happened to be in Wounded Knee with me, he said, Mom, he said, we should have our own school. I don't want to go to the school here. So I said, well, I don't want you to go there either, and I thought, well, okay, because I noticed we had a lot of young people kind of hanging around the legal office, kids, they would go to school in the morning, I guess, or whatever, and then they just come on down to, I don't know if they were doing breakfast then back in those days, or I think they were at the school or something. But anyway, so I noticed there was a lot of, young people hanging around. So that's what we did. We just started out as kind of like a group home, that type of thing. And it just developed into survival school. And then survival school started, in different parts of the country. There were several of them. We eventually had a federation,
Wow. Hey, Madonna, can we hold that thought? We got to hit another commercial. Do you mind?
Oh, sure.
Awesome.
Okay.
Hey, I'm here with Madonna Thunder Hawk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents. I'm Wake, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
No one should have to choose between a paycheck and their health. Whether it's for a new baby, an unexpected illness, or an aging parent, Minnesotans deserve time to care for themselves and their families. That's why Minnesota Democrats are fighting for all working people to have paid family and medical leave. The time is now. Contact your legislator and tell them to pass paid family and medical leave for Minnesota. Learn more at paidleavemn.org. That's paidleavemn.org. Paid for by the Minnesota AFL-CIO.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
When it comes to mental health, connections with others can be a way forward. How do you reach out when you need someone? What do you do to support those who struggle? Whether you're struggling or know someone who struggles, see connections as comfort, hope, and joy, like sending a text, sharing a moment, offering a hug, seeing an old friend, seeing your grandma. Together we can find ways to create a path forward. Visit cmentalhealth.org. Visit cmentalhealth.org. When it comes to mental health, making connections with others can be a way forward. How do you reach out when you need someone? What do you do to support those who struggle? Connections can bring comfort, hope, and joy. Find ways that work for yourself and others, like sending a text, sharing a moment, offering a hug, seeing an old friend, creating space to listen. Visit cmentalhealth.org. That's cmentalhealth.org. cmentalhealth.org.
New at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Kuma wood stoves and fireplace inserts. American-made, sturdy and efficient wood heaters. All models qualify for 30% tax credit you can earn for installing efficient and renewable wood heat. Come see the new wood-burning Kuma stoves and fireplace inserts.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has been selling wood-burning products since 1977. Kuma wood burners are hard-working home heaters made from heavy, laser-cut steel. Kuma stoves and fireplace inserts have cast iron doors and large self-cleaning glass windows. You can see the firelight and feel the heat from their efficient fire. One of Woodland's many choices to make fire work for you and your home.
We're with the chimney and installation experts. They not only install, but will guide you if you want to install yourself. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services.
Hey, it's Patrick. So much of what makes us a family takes place in our home. These walls provide an intimate space for all of the small moments that bring us together, and that bond grows stronger year after year. And like any other relationship, your home requires the same love and attention. This is why you should trust in the power of Zero Res to take care of your home. At Zero Res, we don't use harsh soaps or chemicals. ZR water is tough on stains and dirt while still safe for you and your family. So contact Zero Res today to clean your home, because a clean home is a healthy home. Just check out the 15,800 raving customer reviews online with a 4.9 Google rating. Visit ZeroResMinnesota.com to get 3 rooms of carpet Zero Resified starting at just $129, which is a savings of $40, and take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Make sure to mention you want the AM 950 special. Zero Res, backward or forward, spells the same. With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 53, then sunshine Wednesday with a high of 78. Cafe Latte is unlike any restaurant you've ever experienced. Grab a tray and pick from their award-winning selections of soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. Cafe Latte, Victoria Street and Grand Avenue in St. Paul, or cafelatte.com.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, I'm here with Madonna Thunder Hawk, and we are discussing the past, and we just were talking a little bit about the survival school that her son asked for. And I just want to say, Madonna, I got to meet your son, and what a gentle giant he is. What you ought to be proud of him. What a really nice guy he was.
Yeah, he's pretty quiet.
Oh, that's a good one. So you did the school, and then you moved on, and then also I know that you were a part of the Black Hills Alliance. You were a co-founder of that, and how did that go? The dangerous levels of high radiation in the water supply that you were fighting. I mean, here's another thing that you had to pull up your bootstraps and go and speak your truth. Do you remember that era very well?
Oh yeah, we well, after Wounded Knee, early 70s and stuff, the feds came down really hard on American Indian movement. Of course, they targeted the men. The women were kind of like invisible anyway. So then we organized the Women of All Red Nations, and so we could carry on the work of the movement. And as a result of that, we became involved with, first of all, the rest of the country was in the No Nukes movement era. They had that different, what was that thing that happened over in, where was it, in the East? And then they had a meltdown there at one of those.
Oh yeah, what was it? Not Mile High. 3 Mile Island.
Yeah, 3 Mile Island. Yeah. Anyway, so that was kind of nationwide. There was a lot of especially the young people were really up in arms over that. Then we started the Women of All Red Nations. One of our organizers, Lorelei DeCora, she was taking nurses training at the time at the Pine Ridge Hospital on the Pine Ridge Reservation. Mm-hmm. And she came back one time and she said, "You know what? I noticed that all the rooms are full and the hallway is full of women." And so she said, so I was asking, trying to find out what was going on. And they said, "Well, we don't know what's causing it or whatever, but they're having what they labeled it spontaneous abortion." Mm. So she said, "What in the world is that?" And they said, "Well, they're losing their babies between 2 and 4 months pregnancy." So then we started wondering, wait a minute, what's going on here? So we kind of decided what to. So then we decided, well, maybe it could be the water, could be the air, whatever. So we started testing the water, and sure enough, we found out the high levels of radiation on the Pine Ridge Reservation. So we figured it had to be the groundwater system. We didn't know if the aquifers were. We learned about water real fast, and we got partnered with the people that were in the No Nukes movement locally, non-natives, and we organized the Black Hills Alliance of cowboys and Indians
Yeah,
to fight for the land and the water.
that's exciting. And you were part of the Women of All Red Nations then, Warren? Is that
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
I got a t-shirt from that, a remake t-shirt of that. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I remember you ran into one of the symposiums we did, and Winona LaDuke was on, and you called her No Nukes LaDukes. I remember that. That was hilarious.
That's when I first met her. She was just a young college student thing, and that's because she was really into that, the
Hmm.
No Nukes movement. So that's what we called it, No Nukes LaDuke.
That was funny, and it's always funny too to see because you were a doer, and I just have to say this too, Madonna. You know what I'm doing now. My real job is working for Ho Chunk Nation as a legislator, and I always remember asking you, how did you get all these things done? And you said less people were making decisions and things got done faster. And I always think of that
Yeah.
you said that. And can you elaborate on that?
Well, first of all, again, we were a movement of families, okay? Like, for example, Russell Means, everybody knew him as the leader of the American Indian movement. We're first cousins. Our mothers are sisters, and we were raised as brother and sisters. All his, my aunt had the 4 boys, and my mom had the 3 girls, and we were all spaced, right in between, So we all grew up that way. So it was your strong family ties is what made the movement what it was. Okay, so naturally you listen to your family, which means an extension of your community. So that was what was the driving force of the American Indian movement. It was people based. It had nothing to do with age, nothing to do with gender. It was just your people and the people's issues, not 1 or 2 people deciding what you're gonna protest about. It was community based.
So you guys got these things done and decided to do things because your family agreed, and then you moved on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
we had the elders behind us. I mean, they would just show up. I mean, that was our strength. We always knew they had our back. So when you got the elders behind you, and they just gave us just like go and do. We got your back. So
Wow.
that was our strength too.
That is a strength, and that's a powerful to have the elders behind you in such a good way. Back up again and talk a little bit about the survival school. For me, my Gaga, my mother, and myself. I'm 60, about to be 62 in a couple weeks here, and we lost our language and our way until people like you came out in front and really made us proud to be natives. And I mean, you lived through, and I did too, in 1978. We could practice our own religion, and that was something. I was 17 years old in high school before we could do anything like that, and it's amazing to look back and I can't even imagine. When you were younger too, at 17 years old, that all these rules, these laws, these rivers were being dammed up, and we were losing land, and now we're talking land back, and there's things that are happening because of the activism and the leadership that you had and the elders behind you. So it's again, I'm just so grateful to have you on the show because you lived through that. You didn't you're a doer, and that's just amazing, and just all the history that you've lived through. That we have a long ways to go as Native Americans, but compared to when I was young, we've come a long way.
Yeah, that's true. Same thing for me, my generation. But I remember my mom and my parents talking back in the day, and they were talking with other people. But I just happened to overhear them, and she said, "Well, the young people, what they're doing," she said, "they're doing what we should have done. She said, but we didn't. She said, so that's why my parents and family were in total support of what we were doing, because they understood it was all land-based, community-based, treaty rights, all of that, and it all just was, it was already there. We just had to pick up the struggle, pick up the fight,
Right. Well, it's funny too. Land back, treaty rights. And, they stopped asking me here in Minnesota to do land acknowledgments because that's for them to acknowledge that, like Minnesota's Lakota, Dakota land and Wisconsin's Ho-Chunk. And I always just say, well, if you want me to do a land acknowledgement, my land acknowledgement is give us our land back. You've had it long enough. And so they stopped asking me. But I mean, that's it, right? It's like, we are letting these people, we've been here for tens of thousands of years, and we're letting this other group of people on our land for right now. And I know Clyde Belcourt always said, hey, you've been using our land and rent's due.
Yeah.
And that's the way I feel. It's we've been here 3 millenniums. We've been here so long, and we're still here. And that's the exciting thing about having the show and having people like you on the show, is that we're not dinosaurs. We're not people that are no longer here. We're in the community, and we're vocal, and we're still here. And it's always good to remember that and look back at our past in a good way, and especially since the 60s, when we were working hard and out there. And we struggled with land back. We had land taken away from us. It wasn't given away freely. We fought to keep our land, and as you know, the Ho-Chunks were removed, and that's they say we were removed, but it's really we fought to stay here, and they fought to come back. And we're not these passive people like the news and everybody wants to make out that we are. But again, your group of your generation and people that really fought for our rights. It's happening, but it's slowly happening. But you guys really opened up the genie in the bottle. Hey, Madonna, we got one last break, and I want to ask you when we come back, what can our young ones do? And I have a question for you. And how do you see the future of Native Americans across Turtle Island? We're here. Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we're here with Madonna Thunder Hawk, Warrior Woman.
Hey, Olgama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
No one should have to choose between a paycheck and their health. Whether it's for a new baby, an unexpected illness, or an aging parent, Minnesotans deserve time to care for themselves and their families. That's why Minnesota Democrats are fighting for all working people to have paid family and medical leave. The time is now. Contact your legislator and tell them to pass paid family and medical leave for Minnesota. Learn more at paidleavemn.org. That's paidleavemn.org. Paid for by the Minnesota AFL-CIO.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl. Howl!
Life is a journey, and the Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas will help you get where you want to go. Located in downtown Minneapolis, this affordable 2-year college provides free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaches, and a Metro Transit pass, making DFC the perfect pathway to a bachelor's degree. Turn your dreams into reality at Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas. Apply today at dfc.stthomas.edu.
This is Leonard Peltier. I'm in Coleman 1 U.S. Penitentiary, and I'm listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Wait, we didn't hear Madonna howl. Darn. Okay, well, let's do it again for Madonna, Haley.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. Howl!
Thank you, Peeny Gigi Madonna. Wow, this has gone so fast. We only have like 9 minutes left to the show. We're gonna have to do this again, and I'm gonna have to really. I'm just like really overwhelmed with happiness that you're on the show, and just talking about things. And Haley has a question here, and I'm going to ask it for her. And she's asked and she's a Gen Z, and she said, what advice do you have for the next generation that's going to fight for the same things? What kind of advice do you have for the young warriors?
Well, yeah, I get that question a lot, and it's not that. I mean, when you think about it, as indigenous, I don't know, English words are. There's always a new word that comes up, but I like indigenous. Kind of has better sound, I think. Anyway, our issues don't change. Okay, because we are original. We're from here. Okay, we're from right where we stand. Okay, there's no gene pool for us in Europe or anywhere else. It's right here. So keep that in mind, that we don't have to go looking for an issue. We don't have to go, wondering what we need to fight for. Just know your history. Know the history of your people, and what your ancestors did, so you can stand here. And you decide, because it's a responsibility, is what it is. And everybody has their own individual take on what their responsibility is. If it's to just maintain alcohol and drug-free life, hey, that's really important. That's a struggle right there, and that's an amazing thing. Being a good parent, being a good student, whatever you decide, you take that on, as a responsibility. Because look what your ancestors did. So we don't need to be, we need guidance, yes, on specific things, but just know your history and know your family history. Know your people's history and the history of the land where you stand, and what your ancestors did so that you could be standing here. So and you don't need anybody's permission. And always keep in mind, we'll never, ever be homeless. Houseless, yes, but never homeless.
Mm-hmm.
So just trust your own. And the young people today, with all the new technology and everything, to me it's exciting. The organizing that can be done, it's just amazing, And I think back to our day, we didn't even have, people had telephones, but we didn't. You had to have long distance in our day, There's a newspaper, but there was no Indian media. There was nothing, We just had the word of mouth. And I guess that's why we were more action oriented,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you young people have it all in front of you. Go with it. Just pick it up and go. And always remember, for the sake of your ancestors, land back. That's the key word, land back.
Yes. Wow. That's inspiring. And the young ones need to use what they have in front of them, like you guys use, and I imagine some people didn't have phones and you had to do smoke signals. No, just no.
Yeah, we did.
But and back then these kids don't know this, but long distance was super expensive. It was really, and if you used a payphone, you had better had a lot of quarters and dimes and nickels.
A lot of quarters and dimes. Yep. So it was tough, but we made it happen.
Well, we got a few minutes here, and one of the things that we kind of chatted about over Messenger was that the anniversary of Kent State that you were asked to speak about. What are your thoughts about that and Vietnam War and the militarization of police and it was the military, the National Guard that was there at Kent State.
Yeah, that was just amazing. But I was excited to go because I thought that I think I would live long enough that I would be able to go to that campus because I remember when it happened. I remember hearing about it. And so basically what we thought at the time was if they're going to turn their guns on their own children, they're going to kill their own. Look what are they going to do to us? And sure enough, a few years later, they're standoff at Wounded Knee,
Mm-hmm.
So we knew what was coming because they did it to their own.
Right.
So that was the lesson there that we learned, But at that time, the amazing thing for me at the time was that it just showed what you can do, and young people have that the strength,
mm-hmm.
and they're willing to do, and so when young people are on the move, change happens.
Yeah.
So that just goes on, that's just not for one era, but that's when most of the change happens.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, so this show started 7 years ago, well over 7 years now, because of Standing Rock. Because of all the misinformation, and we've been on, going on 8 years, and it's because of all the misinformation that was coming out of the news, or very little news. And I think there's been a new wave since Standing Rock, whether it's movies, TV, young warriors coming about. What are your thoughts? Because I know you were at Standing Rock too, right, with us all.
Oh yeah, it was just amazing. Well, I usually look at through the filter of my own people or what's happening in Indian country, and stuff. But the thing that was amazing to me was the gathering of our people. That was the first time since the Battle of Little Bighorn that the whole Ochete Shakoin, the whole 7 council fires of the Great Sioux Nation came together.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, to me, a historic happening. But also because of the social media and technology nowadays, it went worldwide. So we had a representative delegation or whatever of every indigenous people on this planet. There was a delegation that came to Standing Rock. Because we were there, we watched it happen. We were up on the hill, right where the media tent was,
mm-hmm.
and
we called it Facebook Mountain. Remember?
Yeah, Facebook, yeah. But everybody that came in the gate, they sent them up that hill because
mm-hmm.
they went into the registration tent or whatever they called it.
The media room, right?
Yeah, the media, and they signed up. So we got to see everybody that came to the camp, and it was just amazing happening.
Yeah, they brought their flags. There were all those flags, and
yes.
It was. I was there during Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving weekend, and cars were coming in like constantly. They were lined up coming into the camp for days, and it was.
Wow.
We were probably the second largest city in the Dakotas there, because there was so many. There was 20,000 people there, and then what was it? 2 weeks later, that's when the military former vets came, and then Obama finally did something about it. But that's another story. Oh, yeah.
another show.
Exactly. Madonna, we're ending the show right now, and I just want to thank you so much for coming on. We have to do this again really soon. You're living history and so inspirational. I want to just say, Peeny Gigi, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. You take care, brother.
Ho, and remember, ho. Right on. Hey, that was Madonna Thunder Hawk. And if you're listening to the show, you are part of the resistance from Chief Plenty Coops. The ground in which we stand on is sacred ground. It is the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office. We're still here. We are the 7th generation. Free Leonard Peltier now.
Hey, Twin Cities, Latunji with Latunji's Palette Bakery and Cafe, located at 1400 Park Avenue South